Nintendo E3 2018 plans highlight Super Smash Bros. For Switch. So, Nintendo revealed the first details about its E3 2018 plans, which largely focus around the intensely anticipated game Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo Switch. The annual E3 Direct presentation will air Tuesday, June the 12th at 9 a.m. Pacific time. That's my time, not your time, just kicking off the event week with a look at several upcoming games. Just as Mario Odyssey was the primary focus of last year's Nintendo Direct, Super Smash Bros. For Switch will receive the most screen time during the presentation. And it talks a bit, Nintendo Treehouse Live will be there doing their usual thing, live streaming probably for like 6 hours.
Which we will be there to see.
Yes, we'll be on the show floor, friends. Jesse and I probably not streaming from the show floor.
Although you will see us on Nintendo's live feed, because between segments they always cut to the showroom floor.
Yeah.
Where all the fans are playing the games, and sometimes they go around and ask the fans what their opinions are. So we could pop up on Nintendo's E3 feed. Who knows?
Yes. Keep an eye out for us, because that would just be really exciting. I would save that video and just even if I'm just in it for a glimpse, I'm like, I was on Nintendo's channel.
Yeah.
I was on their live stream.
And 10 minutes later, Miyamoto was on it. That means
we weren't
family.
in the same room, but pretty much we're BFFs.
Yeah. We're going out for pancakes. He might get waffles. Who knows? It's going to be a crazy night.
It'll be crazy. I'm going to take him for coffee. I'll teach him all about growing regions. I do love my coffee. But yes, so obviously Smash, we had a couple years ago where Breath of the Wild was the big thing for E3, and Mario Odyssey. This year, it's all about Smash, so
which
is
exciting. Kind of interesting, because that means they can bring in all of their stuff. They could have
properties from
they could have a big Mario statue, or not Mario, a big Metroid statue.
Their big Mario and Link statues from previous E3s, just bring them back, and it wouldn't be out of place.
They could have big Metroid or Samus statue, like a Star Fox statue, all these different statues, and it would be a way for them to have statues of everything, while still mainly promoting one game, but also secretly promoting other smaller games separately. They could have, if they had Metroid Prime 4 playable, which they probably won't, but if they did, they would have maybe a giant Samus statue over next to the kiosks where those are, and then they could be a Pokemon statue of whatever the main character looks like, with the little starter Pokemon around him or her, and then that would be over next to those kiosks. They could have bring back the Link statue and set it next to the Zelda kiosks. They have so many different things that they could do.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, no, I'm super every time I think about E3, I get all giddy and excited, just because it's my first time going to E3, and I'm just super excited to go there and be able to try out Smash and everything. So that's just so darn diggity exciting. In the chat, RPG again asks Jesse, do you think Amiibo will have a great part in the next Smash? I'm gonna just throw that into our mailbag real quick here, RPG.
Yeah,
so
we can save that for the mailbag.
Yes, we will answer it soonish.
Yeah. So what are there any big surprises, which we kind of talked about this a few times, but are there, since we're talking about E3 as an actual subject, are there any surprises that you're looking forward to?
That I'm looking forward to for E3? I'd like to see if they do have new, I'm a huge Amiibo collector, so if they do have some new Amiibo they're going to show off, like they have in previous years. They had the display case with the Breath of the Wild Amiibos, and how they're showing how they're printed and made as well. I'd love to see something like that at E3. If they do have more Metroid stuff, then yes, I'd love that. Yoshi. We haven't heard anything about Yoshi since January last year, I think it was. So Where's that at?
Yeah.
It's supposed to come out this year. It's already April. We've heard nothing. So I'm just saying, guys. We got Kirby. They promised us Yoshi and Kirby. We got Kirby.
Yeah, Yoshi. It's coming. Did we get an official title for Yoshi, or is it still just...
It's still just Yoshi for Switch. Unless I'm like totally... Unless I've missed it somewhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want to see also what new characters they'll bring to Smash, other than obviously we'll have Breath of the Wild Link. Instead of, or maybe as well as Link normally, but what about you, Jesse?
I'm hoping, because they're going to have the Splatoon 2 World Tournament, and that'll probably end with a big focus on whatever the DLC is going to be, like another trailer or something, and then they're going to cut over to the Smash Brothers Invitational, which hopefully we'll be able to do good enough at to get past the first round, because I plan on trying. I might lose the first round, but
I should practice.
Yeah. See, the thing is, it's mostly going to be like people in the industry, not necessarily fans. So the people who would be just fans of Smash Brothers and like super duper good might not necessarily be there, unless one just happens to have a huge YouTube channel and they can get in, where they pay to get in. But I'm excited for the Smash Brothers thing. I wonder if they're going to have all of the characters in the game that you can see at first, or if they're going to keep the unlockable characters a secret.
Wow, sorry.
And then what else? Like,
yeah.
So last year, after the Nintendo Direct, was when they announced Metroid: Samus Returns. That was the first thing they talked about after the Direct ended on their Nintendo Treehouse. So just because something doesn't pop up during the Treehouse doesn't mean, or doesn't pop up during the Direct, doesn't mean that it's not going to be revealed in the Treehouse. This year, I think this is going to be the last year that they're going to put a heavy focus, or any kind of focus, on the 3DS. So I'm curious to see what kind of like swan song games they come out with on the 3DS. Hopefully, whatever 2DS Zelda game they have in production, they talk about it at E3. I still strongly believe we will get a Zelda game either at the end of this year or early 2019. Whether it's if it's this year, I would imagine an Ocarina of Time HD for the 20th anniversary, like I've said a billion times. If it is early next year, the 2D 3DS Zelda games usually release earlier in the year, like around February, March, whatever. That would be around 2 years after Breath of the Wild released. So that would be long enough a space between Zelda titles, even if this is a 2D. Even though in past years they've always had at least 2 or 3 Zelda games released in the same year, whether it was a 2D, 3D, a remake, or whatever. Yeah. So, like I think in the same year we got Twilight Princess HD and Majora's Mask.
I think so.
3D, and then we had Hyrule Warriors the same year. So if you want to count that, that's like 3 Zelda games, I think.
Yeah.
And then
3 ish. Depends how we count Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah, and then the next years, I think there was Triforce Heroes and Hyrule Warriors Legends. So, like, people think, oh, they only release one Zelda game every 5 years, but like if you look at all of the releases for the past 6 years, there's been at least like 2 every single year, whether it's a remake or whatever. Because between Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild, we had Ocarina of Time 3D, and like this is just on the 3DS. We had Ocarina of Time 3D, which came out a little bit before Skyward Sword. Then we had Majora's Mask 3D, A Link Between Worlds, Triforce Heroes, Hyrule Warriors Legends, and then on the Wii U we had Breath of the Wild, which would be the end of this, and then Hyrule Warriors Legends, Wind Waker HD, Twilight Princess HD.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of the other games became available either on the Wii U eShop or the 3DS eShop. So that's like 10 games between, like 10 new games between Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild, or somewhere around 10 Zelda games. But most of them were remakes or whatever. But we did have Triforce Heroes and whatever. Anyways, so long story, but the point I'm making is a lot of people are saying like, oh, it's going to be another 5 years before the next Zelda game. It's never a full-on 5 years. Like the next big Zelda game may be 5 years, but there's several teams that work on Zelda games. You got Grezzo, possibly Tantalus, which is rumored for Skyward Sword HD. You have like Nintendo's handheld team, if they make a Hyrule Warriors 2, which is likely since the first is so successful. They launched it on 3 separate platforms.
Yep. That was a good sign.
Yeah. But that's all that I have to say about that. Is don't just pay attention to the direct and then log off, because you may miss something exciting. Like I imagine they would have like the first 30 minutes of either Metroid or Pokemon during the Nintendo Treehouse. Like last year they had 30 minutes of Metroid Samus Returns. So this year it would be cool if they were like, hey, here's Metroid Prime 4. Or, even better, depending on how you look at this, what if they hold off on the gameplay of Metroid Prime 4 and it's like, that is releasing mid-summer next year. So mid-summer 2019, not necessarily releasing 2018, but in the meantime, for all the Metroid fans, we've been working on this, and then they show off Samus Returns HD for the Switch. So it's like you don't get Metroid Prime 4.
Learning from the mistake of Federation Force. Yeah, because if people knew Metroid was coming, they wouldn't have hated Federation Force so much.
Well, it's the same strategy that they did with what was it? Smash Brothers. They released the 3DS version, waited so many months, and released the Wii U version because they knew if they announced the release date for the Wii U version the same time as the 3DS, no one would have bought the 3DS version. Unless you didn't have a Wii U. So they released the 3DS version and then the Wii U version. And then they've done something similar with a lot of other games where they released it on 3DS and then brought it to the Switch. Like, what am I thinking of?
I don't know.
They've done this a lot. They've also taken Wii U games and put them on the 3DS, which I have no idea how they do that.
By, like, massively downgrading the quality of it.
It's like, here's your favorite
Yoshi's
game.
Woolly Worlds.
It's like saying, here's your favorite game on the Wii U, and here's your favorite game on the Nintendo 64. Like, because well, I guess it's more powerful than the 64, but the resolution is about the same. Like, they're both like 240p.
240, yeah. So.
But yeah, that's what I expect them to do. And I think for the lesser, like the not as big titles, I expect a lot of other Wii U games or 3DS games to make their way to the Switch. Like, I imagine they'll announce at least 3 new 3DS to Switch games or Wii U to Switch games. So whatever was most popular, like Pokken Tournament or Mario Maker. Maybe it'll be like Mario Maker Deluxe or Mario Maker 2 or whatever, and they'll add in like one more art style.
Right. Yeah,
or 2 players. Like 2 people can play the same thing. Like share the joy. That whole thing. Yeah, I guess, do you have any final thoughts on this? What are you expecting? And then we can move on to our next third piece of news.
I think you covered it. Pretty much anything. Like, I would like to see maybe what kind of indie titles are gonna come up on Switch this year.
Oh yeah.
Or if there's anything else that we haven't seen announced. Like, I think they've done put Shovel Knight on Switch.
Shovel Knight's on Switch.
Yeah, that's
both versions. Like both the original and then the one that comes with all the DLC.
The treasure trove. unless you bought Shovel Knight years ago, then they just give you the DLC for free, which is nice. But back when Shovel Knight only cost $15, like geez.
And we should be hearing about Virtual Console at the beginning of next month.
I think also
not Virtual Console, they're online.
They're online, yeah. The
which
online
is supposed to be
services.
tied into Virtual Console. So they're being vague about that.
Yes, but I'd like to see what they're gonna actually do, because they said, like, they've been pushing it back. Didn't they delay it? They were gonna do it earlier in the year, or maybe end of last year, and then they were like, they just kind of kept quiet about it and pushed it back. So I don't know. We'll
Possibly.
see.
In the chat, Hylian Blaziken says Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 HD on Switch, which could happen because the Switch has the motion controls. But another thing, which we'll get into in a second because it ties in with the next news story I want to do, I think Mario Galaxy 1 or 2, one of them was ported to the Nvidia Shield, which is running the same technology as the Nintendo Switch.
Yes.
So you can play Mario Galaxy in HD on the Nintendo Shield, but only in China. I think it's only in China.
But it could just be a workaround, because do they still have the console ban in China? The, like, game console ban? I think that's at least very used to be a thing, but I think it is.
I seen something. It was either China or like one of the Korea, like probably South Korea, because I don't think Nintendo would go to North Korea.
I don't think so.
They did say something about they were moving something into the market, and then I think with Pokemon last year, they announced Ultra Moon and Ultra Sun were being translated to Chinese or something like that, and it was the first time in many years. And then earlier when we were looking for news, I seen an article on Go Nintendo where Nintendo made the statement they are pushing harder than ever to get their games more available in China. They released the IQ player a long time ago that had built-in Nintendo. Yeah, it was a Nintendo 64, but all the hardware was put into the controller, because you can have plug-and-play stuff, but you can't have physical separate games. But you can have something like a computer that can play games, but you can't have a Nintendo system that plugs into the TV that you swap in and out games. Only plug and play. Which is why you go to Walmart or Target or wherever, and you see a lot of like $20, $30 very cheap, crappy plug-and-play things. It's like it has all the Atari games, or it has all of the whatever old game that you've never heard about on it.
Yeah.
So, because I think they specifically make them to sell in China, but then they're like, we have millions of these things and nothing to do with it. Let's sell them in other countries as well. So that's why you see like a $20 plug-and-play Pac-Man.
Yeah.
Even though no one wants it.
No one. But, yeah. You guys should see Tony's channel. He's
Hard
got lots
for
of videos about, hardcore games. I don't know why he named it that. But he's got some really good videos about the IQ reader.
During the interview I had with him, one of the first ones, he said that when his channel started getting bigger for the first time, and they got like a partnership with someone, like the YouTube partnerships or whatever, which our YouTube channel doesn't have a partnership, because I don't want anyone to tell me what to do with my channel and then take hundreds of dollars from me. But their partnership encouraged them to initialize it. So instead of Hard for Games, it was just H4G.
Oh. Okay.
But then they ended up changing it back, because it just goes with the style. Like every video, they're having a beer, and then
no, they're just that's just
they're just
dick,
like
they're
hanging out.
Their shtick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, are we ready for this next piece of news? You can open it. It is the Wind Waker on Switch.
Oh, that one. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. This was sent to me by someone on Discord yesterday. Michael61Y is his username. Is he in our Discord server?
Is he?
Let me see here. Profile. Mutual server.
Wait, Did Did you send me this link?
It was on Skype.
On Skype? I don't think I have it. Is it the data mine one?
No.
No. Is it?
It's the
I don't know what you're talking
second to the
about.
last one. It says FOF,
Okay.
Switch, Linux, Dolphin,
Oh, I
Emu,
see. Oh, I see.
WW.
It's a YouTube link.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright, so I don't have the video up, but I know what it is.
It's easy enough to find.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like
I'll do this one since you did it
You
last
got
time.
it.
All right. Alright, so are you ready?
Yeah.
Alright, wait, what time is it? Not what time is it, but I have to write down the time codes for the podcast. That way I know when to section off each thing. So 38. Alright, are we ready?
Yes.
Alright. Oh, your eyes are going back and forth. Alright. I was just checking, making sure everything was still good. Alright. So